Hey, listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and NPR. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype, we got Josh.
Hey!
We got a few matches. It is Royal Rumble preview, Royal Rumble 2022. We got 4 matches as well as the Rumble matches themselves to get through. Lots of theories, lots of everything floating around at the moment. Obviously, SmackDown has not happened at the time of recording. So if any changes happen or if any new matches get announced or anything like that, we unfortunately won't know about them and won't be able to preview them for you. But what we can preview for you is the mixed tag team match. We kind of predicted it coming out of the last pay-per-view. The last special live event, or premium live event, whatever they're meant to be called now. Edge and Beth Phoenix taking on Miz and Maurice.
This should be an interesting match, because they can go different ways with it. Obviously, I feel like the win should probably go to the Legend here, because it is just a specialty match for Beth, especially. But I kind of feel like, just for the story and stuff, it kind of feels like more like Miz and Maurice should win. I'd especially enjoyed if they did win. The next night on Raw, Miz announces Maurice as the first entry into the Hall of Fame for 2022. That would be really neat.
Yeah. It's a, as you say, a very confusing one. It could go both ways. It could end up with Beth Phoenix in her return to in-ring action, picking up the win. It's kind of the most expected or the easiest option to go with, right? Nostalgia pick. Edge has been winning matches for pretty much all of it. But The Miz and Maurice are both no slackers. I think it could potentially come down to what they want to do long term. You know, are we going to feed into something at WrestleMania? Is Beth Phoenix going to be sticking around? Is Maurice going to be sticking around as a competitor? Recently with Maurice, we have only had these sort of special one-off matches. We haven't had any big long runs from her. So I think there's just so much up in the air and open with this match that, as you say, they could go either direction. They could go Legends. They could go Miz and Maurice.
Yeah, and there's always the possibility that they could always give Maurice and Miz the win just to further the storyline and go on to something bigger at WrestleMania with these 4. So it's not out of the realm of impossibilities that Miz and Maurice win. Yeah, it's more likely that Edge and Beth Phoenix win. So I'm going to go with Beth Phoenix and Edge, largely because I think that's the route WWE's going to go. But I would not be shocked with a Miz Maurice win.
Officially on paper, down next to Josh's name, and unfortunately I'm going to have to put my name there as well. We are going to put Edge and Beth Phoenix picking up the win here in the couple versus couple mixed tag team match, but it should be a banger, and hoping to see, you know, Beth's proved that she's got it still when she's had her Royal Rumble runs in the past, so let's see what she can bring out in a mixed tag team match.
Yeah, I kind of expect the finish to be Beth Phoenix hitting the Glam Slam on Maurice.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I expect, and then it'll lead to a small run for Beth.
Yeah. We will cross our fingers and see what we get. But talking about that women's division, currently announced our women's match for the show is the Raw Women's Championship, Becky Lynch defending against Doudrop.
I like Doudrop. She's not winning.
Dolph Ziggler's chance?
Nope.
Even
not
less.
Even that. It's the case that I think there's a clear story that they want to tell, and it doesn't involve Doudrop at all.
Fair.
I think the WrestleMania match is going to be Becky versus Bianca at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where we're going. And Bianca doesn't have to win the Rumble to set that up either. Because there is a pay-per-view between here and there.
Please, a premium live event.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Doudrop may be a champion one day. That one day is not anytime soon.
Yeah, it is unfortunately the case. Like, when you looked at the 3 people that were vying for that shot against Becky Lynch, you know, it could have gone Liv Morgan again, and again, I don't think Liv Morgan would have won. Doudrop probably had the least amount of chance out of the 3 women in that match to have won. If they ended up getting their championship match, Bianca Belair has a shot, but obviously she is now in the Rumble, specifically for this weekend, and as you say, is that the big match that we're heading towards for WrestleMania? Because now it's time, right? The road has begun. Now we got to start thinking about all these matches. What are we actually leading towards? How's every championship going to be defended? And there's some interesting, rumors floating around. There's a lot of interesting stuff that I'm sure when we get to the men's Rumble and the women's Rumble, we'll end up talking about, because we kind of got to wrap it all together almost with some of these theories and some of these plans to how WrestleMania could end up. Some of them involve Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and the Rumble, which is like our 3 biggest matches on the card. So yeah, we'll have to end up seeing how those things all shape out. I'm going to try and talk about in isolation the Universal Championship match, Roman Reigns defending against Seth freaking Rollins, with the Usos banned from ringside.
Yeah, first off, when has banning somebody from ringside ever worked?
Should we put them in a shark cage instead?
Okay, so let's see here. This is definitely a difficult match to predict.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are so many unknowns in this situation. We don't know for sure if Roman is walking out with the title. This is like one of the first times in a year and a half where we've been like, this person could beat Roman. And so yeah, it's difficult to pick. Seth is definitely on another level. I enjoy the fact that this has not been a face versus face feud, or face versus. This has literally been villain versus more grimy villain, but less of a villain than the previous villain.
The lesser of 2 evils.
Yeah. So it's been interesting seeing how it plays out and stuff. I think Roman does retain. I think largely because I think that's to set up a bigger match at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
What that match is, I have no idea yet.
Yeah.
But I think it would almost certainly involve Brock Lesnar in some way. Which could mean that we could see the Usos not in this match, but the other match.
Yeah.
But I personally, I think Roman retains and makes it to WrestleMania as champion. At which point he may lose the title finally. Who knows? But if Seth won, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? You look into this match, and if it was just Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins in isolation, it's kind of a 50-50 shot both ways. But we do have to consider Brock Lesnar. We do have to consider the WrestleMania feuds that are coming up. We do have to also consider, I guess, the fact that Seth Rollins is a Raw superstar, coming over and challenging for this title. There's obviously some stuff you can do here if Seth won the title. You could bring him over, he could be a SmackDown star. You could take the title back to Raw, you could mix and match it around. There's a lot of different things you could end up doing with it. And it's really which way are they gonna swing for the WrestleMania match? Because I think everybody in their heads have some form of Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, like they never got to clash. COVID unfortunately delayed that match, and how we get there and how we play there, are both people champions when they walk in? Are neither people champion when they walk in? Does Roman lose his title here against Rollins, and then, as you say, the Usos interfere later on to screw Lesnar? It's a non-title feud. Does it involve a Rumble win? There's so many different opportunities and avenues for what they can do with Roman and Seth. But in terms of writing down a name on paper next to me is my prediction, I'm going to put down Seth freaking Rollins, because I think it's time for the head of the table to be on the chase.
Fair enough.
And I guess that really leads us into the WWE Championship match, because these are so intertwined at the moment. Brock Lesnar defending against Bobby Lashley.
This should be a fun match. It's not going to be tactical. It's not going to be a 5-star match. It's going to be a bloodbath. These are two big, meaty men that are going to be slapping meat.
I love the amount of times we get to use that phrase. Anytime we can, we just say it.
Yeah. This is the match we have wanted since Bobby Lashley returned. And the stuff they've been doing between MVP and Paul Heyman and Bobby Lashley and Cowboy Brock Lesnar has been just absolutely gold. I wish it was a WrestleMania match, honestly. I think Brock Lesnar retained. I think if you're right, and Seth does win the title, then obviously Roman's going to go after Brock for the title. But I have my own idea for that, and I'll get to it when we get to the middle Rumble.
It's all connected.
Yeah. Which is also why I picked Roman, because I actually have a different idea for Brock than Roman.
Gotcha.
All right. But yeah, I think this will be a fun match. It'll probably be about 10-15 minutes, and it'll just be those two guys just going balls to the wall.
Yeah. So officially on paper right now, before we get to the men's rumble, your picks for the 2 world title matches is Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns both retaining.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, I sort of come into that with a similar mindset. Obviously, I already talked about my theory a little bit with Roman Reigns. But if anybody is going to be able to beat Brock Lesnar, there are very few people in that echelon. We sort of talked about them last week. You know, your Brock Lesnar's, your Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins. There's very few people up there. And so, you know, you can't be super surprised if Bobby takes it. Like, he is and should be treated like a legitimate contender that deserves to be up there and against the other big meaty man who he's slapping meat with. And do I think it's going to happen? I don't think it's going to happen cleanly. If Brock Lesnar loses the title here, I do think it will be from Usos interference, but it's hard to see them wanting to put the WWE Championship back on Bobby Lashley. You know, as much as his last run was so amazing and we got so much good stuff out of it, we did just have a Bobby Lashley run. And I fear if we do put the title back on Bobby here, he will just be a transitional champion to whoever ends up winning it at WrestleMania. Which might not be a bad thing, but, you know, would rather something else. I'd rather a little bit of something here and there. So officially I'm going to put down Brock Lesnar as my pick, but I will say that if Bobby Lashley does win, I don't see him holding it much past WrestleMania.
I can say that. And I'd be fine with it, especially if he lost to the Rumble win. But yeah, it's that's definitely a fair choice. Yeah, I agree. I would not be surprised if Bobby Lashley wins. I will say that. I just feel like it's for storylines and stuff. And the fact that there is a bigger match on the horizon than Bobby Lashley versus Rumble winner, with Brock Lesnar versus Rumble winner, I think I'd rather have that.
Yeah. We'll have to see how it all shakes out. We will get to those Rumble matches, both the men's and the women's match, after the entrance theme this week. The entrance theme chosen by Josh Stone Cold Steve Austin, as the only man to do a lot of things, but one of those things being win 2 Rumbles in a row, back to back. And maybe that'll give you a little bit of hint of where he's going to take this conversation when we come back from it, but that song's playing for you right about now. And you're back to the Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh. I'm going to tease you just a little bit longer because we're going to talk about the Women's Royal Rumble first. Currently, at time of recording, we know 21 of the 30 entrants. This is where I clear my throat and I read them out all real nice and quick-like. We have Rhea Ripley, Nikki ASH, Dana Brooke, Carmella, Queen Zelina, Tamina, Shotzi, Natalya, Alea, Naomi, Shayna Basler, Charlotte Flair, Hall of Famers, Nikki Bella, Brie Bella, and Lita, Michelle McCool, Kelly, Summer Rae, TNA Impact Knockouts Champion, Mickie James, as well as Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan.
Yeah, this should be an interesting match because there's definitely a few different ways they could go with it. Starting off with Shayna Basler. Shayna Basler legitimately could win the match. I'm not sure what match you set up with that after that.
A few different ones.
But Basler definitely could win. It's very possible that Charlotte Flair could win and we could get our title unification match without even really trying. Because for some reason the champion's in the freaking match.
You're going to keep pitching that, aren't you?
No. Actually, that's not where I'm going.
Alrighty.
Bianca could become the first two-time women's winner. First two-time in a row winner.
Mm-hmm.
It's very possible. I'd rather have her earn her match at WrestleMania for if she's going to go for a title. Earn it at the Elimination Chamber. I'd rather have her earn it there. But there is one person that I have been thinking could win this match for a month. That's not announced. So it's probably not going to be right, but let's shoot my shot. I've had crazier predictions come true. Sonya Deville.
Yeah, you have said that a few times.
Yeah. I'm picking Sonya Deville. I'm not going to back down from it. I think it feeds into the Naomi storyline. And you could even have Naomi versus Sonya Deville for the right to that match at WrestleMania at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah. There's definitely paths forward with the Sonya Deville stuff. That's the thing is, when we come into a Rumble like this, it's not always super predictable. Like, you've got your big obvious choices, but there's a bunch of small little ones like that. Like, Sonya Deville, I don't think is on many people's radars at the moment coming into this match. And here you are with this entire storyline planned out of, what could happen if they let Sonya win.
Yeah, I had my mind back to the 99 Rumble, the one Vince won.
Yeah.
And how they played that off to Austin winning the match at St. Valentine's Massacre and getting the title match, which was also Big Show's debut, to eventually face The Rock at WrestleMania 15. So I kind of think, I think they might go in that direction. Have the authority figure win. Have Naomi earn a match or legalize something, go through legalese or something, and get a match with Deville, in which if she wins, she gets Deville's title shot, and then faces, I guess, Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. But there you go. You can have that whole long storyline there, and it culminates with her finally beating Sonya Deville and coming out on top, and gets a title match for it as well.
It would be a great payoff to that storyline that has run for quite a while now. As you mentioned, a couple other prospects out of the match. Bianca Belair, two-time champion, obviously get her match against Becky Lynch. Not announced for the match. Bayley could come out, run on a good shot. Again, Charlotte or Becky. Alexa Bliss just made her return. We don't really know what direction her character's fully going in yet, but she could pop it out and bring it back. Asuka's rumored to be coming back from injury soon. Sasha Banks could also poke her nose in. Raquel Gonzalez could come up from NXT. Charlotte Flair, obviously, to do the unification match. There's rumors of Paige coming out of retirement to pop in here. And I guess the biggest one that would be remiss to not talk about, because it's making headlines everywhere at this point. Block your ears if you don't want some spoilers of people who may or may not show up. But Ronda Rousey, heavily rumored to be making a return in this Women's Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I will say this. If Ronda Rousey shows up, she's winning. No doubt about it.
She's odds on favor for sure.
Yeah. Because you don't bring her back in that situation and not have her go after Becky. Although, to be fair, the two people she had her last match with are both champions. So you could legitimately go with either one. But I think there's more ammunition with Becky than there would be with Charlotte.
Yeah.
But yeah, If Ronda Rousey shows up, she's almost certain. She's a 95% chance of winning. And then everybody else has a 5% chance.
Yeah. The big question is just, will she show up and will she be in the match? Everybody sort of seems to think if she's appearing, she's in the match. There is other options, Ronda Rousey doesn't really need a rumble. She just showed up after Doudrop gets beaten and points at Becky Lynch. I'm sure you got your WrestleMania match there.
Yeah. Or she could show up and eliminate Charlotte Flair without even getting in the match.
Yeah.
And then you've got yourself a ready-made feud for WrestleMania, and you can still do Becky versus whoever wins the Rumble.
Plenty of options.
Yeah.
But let's. I don't want to run it out of time, so we should jump over to the men's Royal Rumble as well. At the moment, 22 out of the 30 entrances announced. I will clear my throat again and get ready to list. We have Angelo Dawkins, Montez Ford, Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, Austin Theory, Sheamus, Johnny Knoxville from Jackass, Damian Priest, AJ Styles, Big E, Happy Corbin, Madcap Moss, Sami Zayn, Kofi Kingston, Kevin Owens, Omos, Randy Orton, Riddle, Chad Gable, Otis, Dolph Ziggler, and Robert Roode.
Yes, there are just like the women's, there are a lot of directions they can go with this one as well. You could have Randy Orton win, become the second 3-time winner. There's no reason for it, but that's a possibility.
There's no reason for a lot of things.
Yeah. You could give AJ Styles a moan and give him the Rumble win. It's one thing. It's one of the few things he hasn't done in the WWE since his debut. It's entirely possible. It's entirely possible, but not unlikely. Because it would fit with this Chosen One storyline. Austin Theory wins.
Yeah. There's a few different ones.
Yeah, Big E could win, face and finally get his match with Roman at WrestleMania. It's unlikely because he just lost the WWE Championship. I guess you could technically have Kevin Owens win as a reward for his re-signing. You don't really need a reason for that. Because Kevin Owens makes his own storylines matter. I don't think he'll win, but I think he'll eliminate 13 people. Omos.
Think Omos is gonna break that record? Or tie that record, sorry?
Yeah, I think he'll eliminate a lot of people in the Rumble before ultimately falling. The person I think that's going to win this match, though, Matt Riddle.
What? Alrighty.
I think Riddle wins it and then challenges Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Tell me that's not a big match.
It's a big match.
Yeah.
I'm just, I had all of these concepts in my head of like, I can rebuttal this, I can throw out my plan for this, and you throw me a Matt Riddle and I'm like, okay, you got me.
I'm surprised that you're surprised, because I've been talking about Riddle for 3 months.
I know, but like, the Lesnar reigns, that's got to be odds-on favor. There's obviously what we'd like to happen, or what could be really cool, or we think might have a pocket chance of happening, but much like Ronda Rousey is the odds-on favor if she's in the match to win the women's, Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns, whoever ends up entering if they lose their title, or even if they don't, has the best odds-on favor if they end up in the match. Like, if Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns enters that match, I don't see them losing. The big question...
We didn't see Brock Lesnar losing when he entered as WWE Champion in 2020.
That's true.
And he got eliminated by the eventual winner, your boy, Drew McIntyre.
It's true. So, slightly different storyline, but yeah, it is. I guess it is possible. If it depends what their motives are, right? Like, if their motives are to enter to get their hands on the other person by winning, we'll have to wait and see how they play out. I think you've mentioned most of the probable winners there. There's obviously outside chances from other people coming in, but I think a name we have said will come out the winner. So I just want to go through them. Obviously, we're putting odds on favor, big, like a Rousey, Lesnar, Reigns, some combination of that. But your official, slightly wacky, what you'd kind of want to see picks, you've put down, you're going with Sonya Deville and Matt Riddle. Those are your official picks.
Yep. I I decided I'm not going back down. I've been on these trains for 3 months. Let's see what happens.
Choo choo, baby. For mine, I'm going out there. I'm just going to throw an AJ Styles and an Alexa Bliss. It's what I put in the chat earlier this week. Our little wrestling roundup chat. I feel it. I feel like one of those two could probably pull it out and move forward with it. I personally don't believe that Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar needs a title. I'm sure they will put at least one title in that match, but it doesn't really need it. So that is it. That is our Royal Rumble prediction show. Always a massive show, but we have run out of time. It's been great talking to you.
Bye.
You visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/WrestlingRNDup, or our Twitter page, twitter.com/WrestlingRNDup, or our YouTube page, youtube.com/WrestlingRNDup. And we will see you next week with the results from that Royal Rumble special premium live pay-per-view event thingamabob.